how do you think this digitalization will influence access to education, and how would this change the Hult experience in the future in person?
Digitalization of education is nowhere near where it could be, and to my knowledge, no one is yet achieving that. So you do have some universities experimenting with the metaverse and having completely digital virtual experiences in virtual reality classrooms. Back in 2006, I remember speaking at conferences about the future of education and how eventually we will be using elements such as virtual reality. In those days, it was Second Life that was the dominant platform for delivery of education, where it's not simply using this two-dimensional online system such as Zoom or Teams, where people are getting virtual classes, simultaneous virtual classes. You can have asynchronous learning, of course. So there's been a huge growth in recent years of MOOCs. Platforms such as Coursera and Udemy have allowed lots of people to access different types of education and learning, gain certificates, badges, even gain degrees through online learning. That's been there, that's developing, and that gives access to a lot of people around the world to an education they may not be able to have otherwise. So the digitalization of education is happening because a lot of institutions are simply transferring those lectures online, but they're not embracing the opportunities that digital have. Virtual reality allows digital education in a new way. It means that people can be participating in the same class and same projects from around the world and actually taking part. Vocational training has been doing this for many years, so learning how to dismantle and repair a boiler without having the danger of it exploding. All of these things can be done using virtual reality in new ways. But I think there's still a lot of experimentation needs to take place. And we still are in the same place, as I said, that you have one expert talking to the students. What we haven't yet reached is what I call the crowd in the cloud, where everybody is learning from each other. And we have crowdsourced education where everyone is able to contribute and participate in those contributions. That will come one day, I believe. We will move away one day from this paradigm of the expert delivering their knowledge to everybody. But university systems are built this way. Professors are employed to give their expertise and their teaching to hundreds of people at the same time. As I say, at Hult, we're trying to do things differently, and we're getting teams working together. Students are working together and learning from each other, working on a challenge as if they were in a real workplace. And the professor, it becomes a little bit more of the guide, of a manager, helping students achieve what they need to for those challenges, for those particular projects. But that does not look at the digital aspect. There's still lots of places we can go with digital education. And I think the coming years will be very, very important. Ray Kurzweil, the futurist, says that if you look at the 100 years of technological innovation that we experienced in the 20th century, we will experience something like 20,000 years of innovation in the 21st century. If you consider where we are now with the use of the internet, we're going into the fourth industrial revolution, where everybody is connected all the time, where you have the ability to have video conferences, which for years were science fiction, where you do have the ability for students to participate in classes virtually. All of these things are unthinkable 10 years ago, and certainly 20 years ago when the internet was still, the World Wide Web was still very much in its infancy. So as virtual reality grows, as the metaverse as a concept grows, as the user experience and the interfaces develop more so that it is a more natural way for us to interact with each other, then I think we're going to see some really interesting experiments by some thought leaders. But there is still a very good question of, is that meeting the needs of employers? Employers are still not doing that very much. They are not having their entire business practice happening in the metaverse. They're experimenting in some cases, but still the biggest digitalization of employment is people having video conferences, having Zoom meetings instead of having to go around the world and using up their carbon footprints. And it's a bit of a symbiotic relationship. Universities and education won't change until they see the need from employers. Employers aren't changing because they are from a different generation. And in most cases, they like to stay with what they've got. So it is only when Generation Z start moving fully into employment and start changing things from the inside that we'll see demand from employers changing what they want from their universities that are feeding them with graduates. Then the universities will iterate and then it will change. That, and after Generation Z, I think it's Generation Alpha, these next 20, 30 years will be radically different from the education of 100 years ago.